Hi, AfterBuzzers. Today I'm in studio with Rob Lake. He is the youngest magician to ever receive the Merlin Award. That is for the International Stage Magician of the Year. It's the equivalent of an Emmy or an Oscar. It is so important, and he is going to do magic in studio with me. All this and more coming up.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I love the audience clapping. I know you're so used to huge audiences clapping for you, but it just makes me feel so good starting with that.
Sure, well, this big studio audience here, clapping for us, I can see why you like that.
Yes, it really, pumps things up.
Absolutely.
Our studio audience of one, AfterBuzzers. Yeah. We have one live person in here with us, and all of you, yay!
That's right.
So I'm your host, Zoe Hewitt. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RealZoeHewitt. And sitting to my left is Rob Lake. Where can everyone find you?
Let's see, Instagram and Twitter, Rob Lake Magic, and Facebook, Rob Lake Official.
Okay, now, while I was doing all this research to talk to you, I kept watching your videos over and over again, going like, oh my God, how does he do that? But sort of in a rhetorical way. Like I said, I don't want to know.
It's more fun if you don't know, for sure.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So how did you first get into magic?
Hogwarts. No, I wish.
You got your letter at 11?
I did. I was the first American wizard to go.
Nice.
No, basically, I got started as a kid when I was about 10 years old in magic, and I just knew that's what I wanted to do when I grew up. And from there, I never grew up.
And so, did someone get you a magic kit, like one of those starter magic kits?
I saw a magic show when I was 10. I knew, and then when I got back, it was during summer. So as soon as school started, I went to the library and I got every book I could find on magic. And I had magic kits, and I went to the public library, and a few local magicians helped mentor and help me. And I just really, really had to self-study quite a bit.
Because, where do you go if you want to learn magic more than the beginner kit?
Sure, I mean, that's where most magicians started. And I joined a local amateur magic organization, Magic Club, where we'd meet once a month and share tricks and share magic. And but really, it was just a lot of mail order magic, tricks and books and DVDs. And, well, back then it was VHS tapes, to be honest. And
And what did your parents say when you first said, Mom, Dad, I want to be a magician when I grow up?
I think at first they thought, oh, this is a really cute hobby. But then whenever I quit school or, left college to do this full time, it raised some eyebrows.
And at what point did they say, oh, okay, honey, now it's okay?
Sometimes I still think they're saying that. But a couple of years ago, once I started, having some successful tours around the world and making things happen.
And it's funny because it takes so long sometimes
Sure.
for people to accept that, because you have toured all over the world. I mean, so many different countries. You've been in Times Square. I mean, you've been in huge places. And just recently, it's like, well, you're doing a great job, honey.
That's right. Maybe there's something to this. It just might work.
Right. You might be on the right track after all.
That's right.
And so what is the difference between magic and an illusion?
Magic is more broad. So illusion is a type of magic. Illusion would be the large stage production with large objects like a helicopter or motorcycle in our show, or assistants, whereas magic kind of encompasses that, but close-up magic would be card tricks or coin tricks or smaller magic. So illusionist is a stage magician.
Oh, specifically.
Specifically.
So if you're going to see a show in Las Vegas, for instance, it would always be called an illusion
Most of the time, unless they were doing smaller magic even on a stage.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So the big touring production. So
correct.
When you tour, how do you get all of your equipment placed? You must have a lot of equipment.
I do. We have 4 semi-trucks that travel the show. And so it's quite a bit and a big team. I have a wonderful cast and crew who many of them have been with me for years. And so we just travel like a giant, like an army. Exactly.
And so how often does your show change?
I am always coming up with new illusions. I'm always trying to think of new magical things for the show, ways to improve the show, ways to evolve what I'm already doing. And it can take several years for an illusion to make it into the show. One of the illusions that we just put in the show last year, I'd been working on for almost 8 years.
Wow.
And it's the most difficult illusion I've done. And it's the hardest part of the entire show.
And so what happens during those 8 years? Is it just you have an idea and maybe you'll try to figure out how to make it work? What is it that takes so long?
Sure. Usually I'll have an idea of what the audience would see, kind of the presentation or the effect. And then we reverse engineer all the different methods and options to make it happen. And then we'll build prototypes and, test things and maybe try different elements of in a show just to see how that would work or play with an audience. And then go back to the drawing board many times and start over and try again.
And so, to me, even just conceiving of these ideas seems so impossible. I guess is it just something that after doing this for a while, you're used to like, oh, I want to cut someone in half in this other way? Like, how do you even start with a new idea?
Sure. Well, I started when I was 10, and I started studying magic, and I've been deceiving people for most of my life now. But I've studied the methods of magic. It's similar to music, how there are only so many instruments or so many notes. It's just how you arrange them to make a composition. So in magic, there are only so many methods and so many effects. It's just how you arrange them to put them together.
Oh, interesting. And so in 2013, you did a trick that was like right out of a movie, and you made an armored truck with $1 million just appear in front of an audience in Memphis. So did they come to you and say, we want to do this? How did that happen?
Sure. I've done quite a bit of work with Harrah's and Caesars casinos, which are the biggest gaming company in the world. And they were doing a promotion where they were going to give away $1 million a week cash to a Players Club member at most of their properties. And to launch this promotion, they had the idea of making an armored truck magically appear. So we said, sure, we'd love to do it. Then they called back, said, can you do it outdoors? So we said, sure. Then they called back, can you do it in 2 weeks? So it was the most difficult illusion I've ever done because it was outdoors. It had 15,000 people watching it live all around it. And I had less than 2 weeks to create an illusion involving a truck that weighed more than 20 tons.
Right, like how does that happen? I feel like that's just my refrain. I don't want to know, but how does that happen?
I don't even think I could do it again if I had to. Just under this, I didn't sleep for 2 weeks, and and we had to pull every effort of everything I'd learned in my whole career up to that point had applied to that. It was really neat when the truck appeared and it had worked because little details weren't working out until the very last second, and it all came together, and it was really neat because almost like time kind of froze for a moment, and I was able to realize all the good and bad lessons I'd learned to help me prepare for that.
And so how much does your heart just sort of stop? Like if you're saying like up to that moment, you didn't even know for sure there had been some kinks in the illusion. Like how much does your heart stop going like, okay, now here it is, hope this works?
It's kind of like when you step on stage, it just takes over. You're kind of in that zone, and you just have to trust that you can only do the best you can do. And that's the kind of my motto, not to be reckless or careless, but to prepare the best I can, and then just ultimately when it's showtime, just turn it on and do the best. That's right.
And despite preparation, things always happen.
Absolutely.
And so have you ever been left on stage going, or is it more like, and now the improv takes over and you just fix it?
Absolutely. We tour. So every theater's different. Every setup is different. On one stage, everything might be stored back this way or that way. So the flow of the show changes every night, and different limitations for the theaters. So we have to plan every possible contingency of what could go wrong, because sometime out of our hundreds and thousands of shows we do, it will go wrong. There's just no way around it.
Right.
It's Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
But luckily we rehearse every possible thing we can conceive, so we always know the planet B or C or D, so if something happens, we automatically go into that direction and the audience never knows.
And you're so used to working with the same cast and crew that everyone sort of can read each other's minds.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if I start saying certain things, they say, "Oh, he's skipping this or going on to here," and we can make it back, or they'll get my attention and hold up a sign from the side of the stage that says skip to whatever. So
got it.
Yeah.
All those behind the scenes things.
Sure, absolutely.
But speaking of it looking like something out of a movie when you made the truck up here, you actually have this really cool, I guess, not side job, like it's a real job, but actually consulting with TV shows and movies and theater performances. And I had no idea. Like, I just picture like movie magic, but someone has to actually like make that happen. So how does a production come to you? Like, what do they say, and how do you fix their problem?
Well, I love magic, and I love creating illusions. So sometimes I create magic and illusions for TV shows or films that have a magician character who's normally an actor. And so, or they might need magic props for a magic warehouse set. So they'll call us to rent our props, or have me work with their writers to, what would a magician say or do or think, or how can this actor learn how to do a trick for the camera. And then we've also done the same for stage shows, musicals, Phantom of the Opera, and Peter Pan, and Wizard of Oz, and Beauty and the Beast. And it's fun because I get to create magic in another world, in that fantasy world. I get to be part of that to create the magic, and which is normal to that world.
And so, like in working with Beauty and the Beast, for instance, like the part that I think of is the Beast turning into the prince. Are there other elements?
Oh, there are. And that's why people call us, because the script, when they do the show, whether it's a professional company or a regional company, the script says the Beast transforms into the prince. So that's when we get the phone call. Exactly. So we've done over 1,000 productions of Beauty and the Beast in the last, I guess, 15 years or so. But it's fun because, and again, each theater is different, so it's challenging because, you know, having to create the magic for what they can do. But we also do the enchanted rose and the magic mirror and turn a kid into a teacup and things like that for the show.
Oh, so that's interesting. So like the teacup is considered magic? Like when I've seen Beauty and the Beast, and I saw it recently, in fact, down at the Candlelight Pavilion here, like it's a cup and the kid's sitting on like
like a tea card. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I can't think of the word. I'm just gesturing for anyone who's like listening. They're like, "What's happening?" Yes, on a cart, and his face is there. So that's considered magic too.
We offer, you know, once we started doing a few Beauty and the Beast, we thought, okay, what else can we offer people? You know, because people would come to us, oh, the transformation was great, but can you do something for the rose, or can you do something for Chip, or these other things? So I created illusions, so where, you know, all you see is this kind of head inside of the teacup, and his body is nowhere to be seen.
And I feel really bad. Did I just like give it away?
No, not
I
at
felt
all.
like that was an obvious one. Like if I know what's
No,
happening.
if you saw our version, you probably wouldn't. So that's
I'm sure, because I feel like if I can tell, then I know.
No, if you can tell, it's not good
it's
magic.
Not real magic.
Right.
Because I can never tell. But that's amazing also because I also picture, I guess, like when a production is going to be launching like Beauty and the Beast, that they've done it in the theater before. So if they don't know, someone still connected to the theater says, oh yeah, this is how we go about doing it. And so it's just fascinating to me that I had not thought of that you need a consultant to come in.
Right.
Or like you say, to an actor who's supposed to be doing magic.
Correct.
And that makes me think of like Modern Family because Phil is a magician, right?
Yeah.
So how do you teach actors then the tricks, or do you wait for the writers to say, this is the trick we want?
There's no right or wrong formula. That's always been different. Sometimes they will call me during the writing phase and say, here, you know, we look over the script and say, well, a magician would really more likely say this or do this. Or I'd say that's going to be very challenging to teach an actor, you know, in this quick session to do. And so, but here's what you can do to accomplish the same kind of thing. So, or sometimes they'll say, here's our script, can you help us make this happen? And so if I'm traveling, I will Skype with them sometimes and talk to them, or go on set or teach them or work with them.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Because like there might be another way to get to the same outcome of what they want that's less complicated.
Right.
I guess it's like a beginner level magic trick, right? Beginner, medium, and like the advanced illusionist.
Right. Absolutely.
And so, and speaking of travel, you spend like 75% of your time on the road, is that right?
More than that for sure.
And that's a lot of time traveling. You must
I live in hotels.
You must. So what is it like waking up pretty much every day in a new place? Do you have a chance to tour while you're in different places?
Absolutely. I love traveling. And even after a tour, I will add on a vacation time to see things in that area or in that region or nearby. But I love it. But there are things I've had to do to make it feel more like home. Like I travel with my own kitchen setup. I have my juicer and my blender, little stovetop. I've set up some smoke alarms in hotels before from making my own food, because I get wonderful food, but sometimes you want just real homemade food, as best you can do in a hotel bathroom. But I love to travel, so it's really a great thing. And the hardest thing about traveling was missing a dog. So I bring my dog with me most of the time.
And you're very much into animal rescue, right? So your dog's a
absolutely.
rescue.
He is. All my dogs my whole life have been rescues. And I have one now that's, I saw him. I was home visiting my grandparents and my family, and I took my grandparents to lunch. We saw this adoption event, and I adopted this dog, and my grandparents got the little female that he was rescued with too. So they still get to see each other and play.
Oh, that's nice.
And but he's been great for me and on the road.
And so he just comes. Do you ever incorporate him?
I did. I put him in the show. He has a couple cameos in the show, and he completely steals the show.
Of course, right? Yes. Working with animals, isn't that?
Oh, it's great. But it's fun, because as soon as I'm off stage, it's like being home. You know, your dog greets you and just happy to see you.
And then you juice your juice in your hotel bathroom.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, perfect.
You're all set.
Right.
So what have you noticed? Are there differences among the audiences that you've performed for, especially like international audiences?
Yes and no. Little things are different, but overall, magic is magic. You know, whether you're in Japan or Germany or California, gravity is gravity. So if somebody's levitating, it's pretty magical. Right. But a lot of the Asian cultures that I perform for, magic is a big part of their culture. They have a very mystical approach to several things. So there's a lot more awe and excitement in their approach, and it's almost like a nervous energy for them in a great way. Whereas here, it's more of a little more entertainment driven up front.
That's interesting. I mean, it makes sense that different cultures are going to respond differently, which was the reason for the question.
Sure.
But it's interesting that the sort of mystical element from them is what changes that, or influences, I guess.
Exactly.
Which makes sense as well. So when you perform, for instance, like you were not too long ago at Atlantis, right?
Yes,
Down in the
I was
Bahamas
there for a couple years. Yeah.
months.
For about 2.5 years. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, that's
yeah.
a nice long time.
I was. Had a great tan.
I was going to say. So when you're like in residency,
Yes.
I guess, in a place, does that mean you're done traveling other places? Like you're there for that time period?
For the most part, I still had other things. I still would, on days off or things, fly to other events or other kind of shows. And then we did a Europe tour. I think it was either right after it or in the middle, you know, where we had a little bit of a break when they had downtime, and we took that. But I was pretty much parked there for that time.
And so do you start to get like twitchy feet that you're so used to being on the road constantly?
Sometimes I do. I actually sometimes do. I do. But it was wonderful because it's quite an endeavor to tour the show and to be able to not have to pack up every night, to have a little more settled than normal is great.
And so where is your favorite place to perform?
Oh, that's a great question. And not as a cop-out answer, but the truth is I love performing. And when the spotlight in my eye, you know, I really can't tell where I'm at. And because the response, no matter whether it's Asia or Europe or the Caribbean or America, the response is still strong and and everybody still likes magic. So for me, just getting to perform is an exciting, and it's a blessing. It's something I'm grateful every day, you know, to enjoy my life and really perform this. So it's hard to say the different. I have places I love to visit and travel. So if I'm there, you know, I can finish a show and go, you know, see a show in London or, you know, or you know, go to Disneyland when I'm out here and things like that. So.
And so with all the different shows and all the different places and performances, you must have like packing up not only your stuff but all of your set pieces, I guess, right down to a science.
Absolutely.
It's, I mean, when you say 4 truckloads, it's hard for me to even, I guess, fathom moving all that on such a regular basis.
Oh, right.
So do you have doubles of things? Like if you have to be somewhere, like to make sure it doesn't, you know, if there's
sometimes we do. No, I mean, it's
tire?
not an exact duplicate, but I have lots of illusions because I'm always changing things and, you know, switching things in and out. So we have enough where we can kind of finagle and do double bookings when we need to. Not that one's lesser than the other one. It's just, you know, we have enough that we can't. If I put everything in one show, it'd be a 6-hour show.
Right.
That'd be a long time for me to be on stage.
Lots of water, right?
That's right. That's right.
And lots of energy.
Yes.
But
absolutely.
I imagine, I mean, like everyone loves magic. So do you find, like, why do you think people just, like me, like I'm so into it. Like, why do you think people love it so much?
I think even now more than ever, if you look, you know, outside, it's a stressful time. And for me, I think why I liked magic in the beginning is I had that sense of wonder, that excitement that anything is possible. Right. So even in my show, I said, you know, there's a spotlight in my eye. I can still see the people's faces. I can still, you know, feel them and hear them. And even the hardest skeptic, for just a brief moment, they let go of how did he do that? And you just see this little smile, this genuine smile, that childlike wonder is on their face. And just for that moment, anything could be possible. And so I think that's really the root of why magic works and why we all like magic. Even people who say they don't like magic, you know, whenever they see something amazing, they just can't help but say, wow.
Right.
And it's that child in them saying, wow. And then, you know, they'll come back to where they were before. But just for that moment, they're saying, wow. And it's that great feeling that if this could happen, then anything is possible.
Right. And everyone wants to like go back to that feeling,
I think so.
too.
I think so. Even if we don't admit it or realize it, you know, life and the world is stressful and scary sometimes. So just to be able to almost kind of subconsciously force that on them, that's the root of magic.
And so when people hear that you're a magician, do you get more people who say, ooh, can I show you a magic trick? Or, ooh, can you show me a magic trick?
Oh, more, you know, no. It's definitely me show them. So,
I mean, have you run into other people who say like, oh, let me show you my trick?
A few times, magicians will come see the show, which is great. And I love to meet, I do greets after every show. And so a lot of magicians, you know, will give me their business card or show me a trick they've been working on. So that's really fun.
And it show you like, can you give me pointers, or does it show you like, hey, in case you're looking for someone in your show?
No, it's more for kind of the fraternity of magic and just you know kind of feedback, or they're excited about what they've created and want to share it.
Okay, and I am excited about this potential magic. So
yes.
I would love to see some. I know you.
Okay.
I know you couldn't bring anything like huge. I was really.
I know,
looking
couldn't fit through the door. I'm sorry.
No,
all the trucks are out front. They just couldn't. They're getting parking tickets now.
We were all about to do a magic show out on the street.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna levitate out there.
Oh, God. That'd go viral.
Yes. So yeah, I'd love to see some magic.
Okay.
And we can describe it for anyone who's listening instead of watching
all right.
us.
This is a card trick And how would you describe cards? I'm just kidding.
The card deck is red.
Okay, perfect. All right.
I see a 3 of spades.
Yep, these are all different, but actually different is how they come from the factory.
Okay, that's how you want cards usually.
And I want you to choose a card, and don't say it yet, especially for people listening.
Okay.
I want you just to think of it.
Okay.
Now, don't like pick one prematurely. I want you to look at the cards as I deal them onto the table, face up. Like so. And whenever you've got one, let me get a few cards past it. So just watch these cards. You can look at my eyes if you want.
I see the reflection of the card.
Oh, can you see the cards? Okay.
I can see the cards.
Perfect. So
I can see the cards.
Just find the card that really kind of speaks to you, that you know that's the card I was destined to pick. So, and then once you've chosen one, you can say stop. So don't like hunt your favorite card or something you've thought of before.
Okay.
Or the
stop.
card. So one of these is yours?
Yes.
Okay. And you had free choice. We could have gone one of 52 cards, correct?
Right.
But
we could have.
We didn't.
And we have about 10 cards here for anyone who's listening.
So we dealt, and free choice dealt. They're all different cards. You could have stopped anywhere.
Right.
Out of curiosity,
yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how amazed would you be if I could name your card?
So amazed! I didn't say a word.
I know, but like, how amazed? At 1 to 10, how would you rate it?
Oh, 10.
Perfect. Not more than 10. All right.
No, I need to be cut in half for that.
So now's the part I want you to look me in the eyes. Focus right here.
I'm focusing.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm seeing your card.
No way.
And I'm going to name your card Canada.
Why are you naming my card
I just told you I was going to name your card.
Okay, okay. It's a lovely name.
It's a great name for a card,
I was
don't you
born
think?
in Canada,
Were you
actually.
really?
I was.
How ironic and special. I wonder
I
if
know, I'm like, how did you know that?
That's cool. So the cool thing, you know, I think, okay, what's the trick? But there's not much of a trick. This deck of cards I got in an airport is called Around the World. Okay. Because every card in the deck has a country on it.
They all have flags on the back.
Yeah, and
so they have a red pattern with flags.
Yeah, every card. Which one was your card?
The 5 of Hearts.
Pull it out.
No way.
Pull it out. Check the back. What's it say?
It's Canada, you guys. How did that happen?
Magic.
It didn't even look like there were, like I only saw the red originally. I didn't even think there was a pattern.
I know.
Amazing. This is so cool because I'm like up close and personal with the magic.
That's right.
Wait, don't we get more?
You want more?
Yeah.
We'll tack some more. We get some more in a little bit.
like I said, I could do like 5 minutes of like, can you tell me your name? And then like another 40 minutes of, so let's do some magic.
Right.
Because it's amazing. So when you start conceiving of a new illusion, you talked about it took you 8 years from sort of start to finish with this newest one. I presume they're not always that long in between. It's not always like an 8-year endeavor.
Sometimes they're a lot quicker. I thought of one last summer, and it went to the show in the winter. So it lasted about 6 months to get that one in the show.
And is it always like the building of equipment that takes so long, like figuring out how to do it?
It's everything. It's the engineering. It's the design, how it's going to look on stage. We want it to look pretty exciting and cool. It's the staging of it, the music and the presentation. And it's also the engineering and the fabrication, you know, whether it's made of metal or wood, and then how we have to be able to take it apart to fit on a truck to travel.
And so do people come up to you, like other people who work with you even, and say like, oh, I had this idea, let's try this? Or do they pretty much, does the idea always start with you?
I mean, I have a great policy. I have a wonderful team, like I said. And so sometimes they will have an idea of what we could do or improve something. And I have an open door policy where they can always, you know, come and share their ideas. And I want them to. But most of the illusions will come from my ideas. I've been dreaming up magic since I was a kid. So I've got a notebook. It's pretty old and falling apart with all sorts of ideas. Some things I've done, some things I look back now and say, oh, that's so stupid. Why would you even think that? But some things I think, I still have no idea how I will do this, even though someday I want to accomplish this.
And are the people in the show with you pretty much all, like, are they interested in magic? Do they want to be magicians on their own and this is training? Or is it like they're separate performers?
No, I mean, they're dancers. So they come from a dance audition. We either do in New York or Vegas for dance auditions.
But I mean, it's not like dancers who are like, but I'd like to do magic.
No, in fact, most of the time we prefer people who don't have magic experience.
Oh, why is that?
Just because we'd rather, sometimes if they've done magic, they, you know, they know another, it's protection from others, trying to keep our secrets closer and make our community closer. And it's also, we want to train them our version and our way of approaching operations. So. And
you said something really interesting earlier before we had started, that no one knows everything else, how to do like every single other trick. So it's compartmentalized.
Yes, it is. Everybody's on secrecy agreements that, you know, they can't and won't talk. But even still, they don't know how the overall illusions work. They just know what they're supposed to do for that one thing. So the magic is really kept well. And if I have something made by a welder or builder, they might just work on one element. That way, nobody knows the whole secret of the illusion.
And so then, what about instances where I guess like you need a backup, like even a backup person? Like how many people down the road, I guess, are compartmentalized?
Sure. I mean, like we train every contingency, so we try to do backups, or if this person gets sick, this person can do that job too. So we do. It is, the secrets are very important, but so is the operation as well.
Right. Like there are a few, and then in a big illusion like with the truck, with $1 million, did you have to let like everyone else know, like corporate know? How were
Not
you
corporate,
able to
but
keep
because
that
there was $1 million
compartmentalized?
cash, there was a lot of security involved in that. And the security had to know quite a bit about how this truck was going to magically appear, because they probably thought I would make the cash disappear, which who knows, I might have.
So does that mean they had their people like on stage?
Oh yeah,
like
it was another element in addition to an outdoor stage that had to be crazy engineered for the weight of this 20-ton truck, and the truck itself, which is also just tough to make appear. We had to deal with all of the security people and say, work with where they were comfortable being present and not. So it was just more obstacles that we had to deal with.
Because that makes me think of, like, for the Oscars, the actresses, borrow, like, the fancy jewelry, but then they have, like, security with them because they don't need to walk off with, $1 million necklace.
And I don't know if it's more like they're going to walk off, maybe they would, someone.
Maybe both.
Some actresses, but it's more like they don't want somebody to take it from them, or, for them to lose a piece. Cause
either way.
I know people lose earrings all the time, so.
Right, and oh my gosh, can you imagine, like, there it goes.
I mean, it's probably happened, so.
I'm sure there's a reason they have security with them.
Exactly.
That didn't just magically appear.
Right.
So what is the hardest illusion that you've done? The most difficult to
definitely
execute?
the armored truck, because it's daylight, outdoors, 15,000 people all around it, and I just had security and the weight of this truck is, and I had 2 weeks to come up with this from scratch. So that was definitely the hardest thing. On a regular basis, I love to involve the audience in the show. I make it very interactive. So throughout the whole show, I bring audience on stage and ask them to be part of the magic and part of the show. And I do one thing where we bring 10 random volunteers. We throw 10 frisbees out. That way it's totally random. I'm not great at aiming with frisbees. But we have 10 random people on stage, and we surround them all different parts of the stage and create an illusion in the middle of that. And that's the most difficult. It's because it's totally impossible circumstances.
So when you say you create an illusion in the middle, so you bring the 10 people up, they make a circle.
Yeah,
and
the complete stage is completely empty. I even leave the theater, so I can't misdirect them. And they basically surround the stage, and something happens in the middle of all these volunteers.
And so, working with volunteers, do you ever get worried that someone's going to start either figure it out or start saying things and like try to take
that happens
over?
all. They don't figure it out, but it happens all the time. We get chatty volunteers, we get shy volunteers, we get volunteers who were so excited to raise their hand and volunteer, but they don't speak English. So that makes that makes
it hard.
It makes it fun, to be honest, because it makes it different and it makes it exciting. And for the audience, that one time that funny thing happened, they feel special because they were there when that happened.
That's right, because you want to see like the special show.
Oh, right? And every night, and that's why we customize it. That's why I invite so many volunteers to be part of the show, and I even take the magic into the audience. There's there's a few parts where the magic happens to everybody in the audience too, so that because it is special and it is unique and changes every night.
Absolutely, and that's what you want too, because then you can go back to the same show and it's not actually the same show. And so what is the difference between this, like is it another category, and like the people who do like in the box, suspended above Times Square type of magic and illusion?
I would say those are more like stunts. Kind of sometimes they're death-defying stunts. They're or escapes. I like life way too much. I enjoy living well, so I don't want to put my life on the line like that. I feel like choosing a career in the arts already is putting my life on the line. But that'd be kind of escapologist or a stuntman kind of thing, which I respect them. I think it's wonderful what they do. Just not my style.
And so is that still considered like
it's kind of on the umbrella? Yeah, it definitely would be, I'd say, overall.
And when you were getting started, so for any kids up there who are like, I really want to be a magician, like I've got my starter kit and now I'm watching like YouTube videos or whatever to learn, what is the next step? How do you even, it seems like such a nebulous path of like, where does that come from? Where does it go?
Even with YouTube now, back then it was mail order VHS tapes was my YouTube. But back then, I still got most of my magic and my education of magic from books. These books have been around for many, many years. The principles are still the same. What fooled somebody, in the 1920s still fools somebody this year. So it can just be built on. So I'd say, it's a lot of self-education, a lot of passion, a lot of dedication to really want to do it, and ultimately to make it entertaining and fun.
And one of the things you had mentioned earlier, speaking of entertaining and fun, was that the styles have just changed so much that the original cutting someone in half was, and you said, sort of like a boring science video.
Yeah,
it took a long time.
Correct. Yeah, it was. Things are a lot more. Everything in entertainment is flashier and quicker and faster paced and has more going on, whether it's a YouTube video or a concert or a movie. But magic, especially, the illusions and the magic, the core of it's very similar. But the style, it's a lot faster paced. It's a lot, at least in my instance, a lot faster paced. So I researched for years the original version of sawing a woman in half, and I perform it in my show. And the original version was very dry. It was kind of a lecture. It was like, we're going to strap her to the table. We're going to saw her slowly. In our version, has the same elements. We have volunteers examine everything and strap her to the table with old-fashioned leather straps, and so she can't move. And then when we cut her in half, I just made it more fun. I would not want to sit through that today myself. I would because of my magic history, fandom. But for me, I thought, what can I do to make this a fun experience for me and the audience? So I make it interactive. I will sometimes pick volunteers that look like they're going to be squeamish or scream or have fun, and then we make it fun for both of us. So.
And do your volunteers ever get pre-picked? Is there someone out there?
No.
Or it's always a frisbee?
It's always random. Or if I see somebody on the front row or see somebody there and I could just tell they're having a great time, it's kind of typecasting. I think, they would be really fun to bring up for this bit. So I might go out and grab them for that one thing, but I don't know them. Sometimes my friends or family will come. They'll be either wanting me to pick them, like when my cousins come, they're pick me, But it doesn't work that way. It needs to be somebody who I've never met before, who's not in on it, who's not going to help me out or can't anticipate something.
And so do your friends know how you do all these tricks?
Even my family, my parents, they'll see the show a few times a year, and they still don't know how I do a lot of stuff.
And so are they fans more of the illusion, or do they feel like I want to know?
A little both. My sister too, they'll come back and say, so, that new illusion, how'd you do it?
And waiting.
Yeah, and I'll say, I said, very well, thank you.
And so, because I feel like there are certain jobs that people want to know about more, especially a job like this that is more of a performance, of course, that it's how did you make that happen? And no, you can tell me.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But it destroys it completely. It's
even the sawing in half thing that we talked about, fluke, like I told you, it's random picking, and a fluke deal a couple years ago, my dad got picked from the audience to be on stage for that. And I walk out on stage, and he's there, and I'm there, and we kind of have that look, and I don't say anything because the audience will think, he's in on it. But he was thinking, okay, now I'm finally going to figure this out because I'm right here. And he's strapping her in really tight with the straps and the leashes and locking her down. And he's just so intent, and he still doesn't know.
Even right up there.
Even right up there after he's seen it many years and many times before, he thinks, okay, I finally have the front view I can get it, and still no.
And next up for you, you're going to be in Lake Tahoe, is that right?
I am. I am so excited to go back there.
And how long will you be in Lake Tahoe?
I will be there all summer, June through Labor Day.
Okay. And where can people find you if they want to interact? Where can people find you to get tickets to the show?
Sure, roblake.com. You can get tickets there, I think, starting May 1st. I think tickets go on sale. And we were there over the winter, and I had a wonderful time. It's gorgeous up there. It is so beautiful there. And I'm really excited to bring the show back.
It'll be another amazing show, I'm sure. Well, thank you so much, Rob, for being in studio with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Zoe Hewitt. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RealZoeHewitt. And I also host our Shark Tank After Show, so I'm here Monday evenings at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.